Here's a video that helps you use Google Sheets. And the video will feature how to use Google Sheets to do calculations for density labs or other things like that. So in your drive under Google Sheets, you can pull this up. And this may look familiar to you. You may have seen Microsoft Excel. This is Google's version of that. So let's pretend that we're measuring the mass and volume of two different blocks. Let's make it more interesting. Let's suppose we're doing, 5 blocks. One thing you can do with a spreadsheet like this is you can type in 1 and then 2, which tells the computer the sequence that you are numbering by, and you can highlight them and then hover over that little blue square until you see a black cross, and then click and drag, and it will fill in the rest of the sequence for you. I'm going to delete these and show you what that means. What if you did 2 and then 4, highlight them, and then click and drag, and it continues by 2s. So that's the idea. So 1 and 2. And then I'm just going to click and drag, and now we have our 5 blocks. So we'll be measuring the mass in grams, and it's always in a data table. Always good to put your label and then the units of measurement in parentheses. And right here we will have the x dimension, which you might call the length. And this is the y dimension. And the z dimension of the blocks. And then right here, of course, will be the overall volume in centimeters cubed. And this little caret up pointing thingy is an old school way of meaning exponent. So we have our mass, we have our volumes, and then we have our density. So once again, remember, in a data table, you should have your labels and your units in parentheses, and that's just good form for a scientist when they're making a data table. Okay, so I'm just going to put in some random numbers here. Okay, so let's pretend we take our metric ruler and we measure the dimensions of the first block, and we get this. And then we do it again for the next block. Oh, that's interesting. I typed in 5.0 and the 0.0 went away. So the reason that's happening is because I'm going to highlight all of this, so I fix this once and for all. It has to do with these little gizmos. So by clicking that, you're changing the place value that it's rounding to. So I'll make sure they're all set to tenths. Okay, now here's where Google Sheets gets cool. So you can now set it up to calculate the volume without using a calculator. So the volume will be calculated in this cell, and this cell is called F3, and those are sort of the coordinates of the cell, almost like longitude and latitude. So to tell the spreadsheet to do a calculation, you have to go up to this function bar and click in it. So the cursor appears and blinks. Now press equals, and that will tell the computer that it's ready for a command, a calculation command or a function. So You can type in the codes of the cells. You can type in C3 times D3 and so on, or you can just click on them. So I'm going to click on C3, and you see that it appears here. And I'm going to type the asterisk, which means multiply. And I'm going to click this cell, asterisk, and that cell. So now we're multiplying these three cells together, and then to activate it, you press enter. And that is an astonishingly high volume. So let's make this, I don't know, a little bit less. That's better. Now, what you can do is, instead of doing that over and over and over and over for each, Google Sheets is pretty smart. So all you have to do is hover over the square, click and drag, and it does all of the respective calculations for each of these rows. So you really only have to do the calculation once and then tell the spreadsheet to do it for the rest of these. So now we've got the volumes of all those. Now we're going to figure out the densities. So I'm going to click in the first cell. I'm going to go to the function bar. I'm going to click equals, and I'm going to tell it to take this value, the mass, and slash divide by the volume, and enter. And we have a very low density. I think that's pretty, well, I guess it could be. Probably not possible. Who knows? So we'll fudge it, and we'll just make this a little bit bigger. There, it's much more realistic. And now just hover and click and drag, and now you have all the rest of your densities. And this block has a density of nothing. Interesting. Much better. So another cool thing you can do now is, now that you have these set up, you can explore the relationships between mass and volume and density. So what you could do is, you could make this number doubled, close to doubled, and then you could see what happens to the density. Oh, it doubles too. Interesting. Or it's at 4.3 right now. What you could do is, you could maybe cut the volume in half. See what happens to the density. Oh, it doubles. Interesting. So you can use this to play around. And then with Microsoft Excel, you can, of course, make graphs and things like that. And you have all sorts of options in Google Sheets as well. So I hope this was helpful.